Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Still Unbelievable. It's question time. David from Skeptics and Seekers is here with me. Andrew would have been here, but technicalities that happened over the weekend meant we had to arrange to sit down and do it again. And apparently something to do with the 4th of the month or something has kept Andrew away from us. Apparently people want to go boating. How dare they? Isn't the awesomeness of the Braxtons so much more interesting, David?
I'm going to go with yes. There's no lie detector, right?
No, I fear we're going to have this response multiple times, aren't we? And right, so David Johnson from Skeptics and Seekers is joining me. Welcome, David. Always a pleasure to have you on. I always know that I'm going to have a fun time. Yet at the same time, I always know that I don't quite know what's going to happen. And it's with both excitement and butt-clenching dread that I engage on every adventure that we have together.
Well, you know how when you come on my show, you're at your worst behaved?
Is that how it is? Is it?
It's just how it is. I mean, I'm on a show that I don't have to produce. I don't have to do it. It's not whatever happens. It ain't me. You got the mute button, buddy. It's not.
Yes. Just remember, this one's going to be videoed as well. So if you're watching this on the YouTubes, you see me twice because I'm messing around with my phone. And you know what? Apparently, a £1,000 Samsung, well, it's probably not 1,000, it's probably more like £700 Samsung device has a better camera than a £50 webcam. Would you
It really does
believe
look.
it?
It looks good. Your phone video looks. It looks so good. It feels. I think it's touching you up a bit. Honestly, I think
Oh,
so.
the audio listeners are immediately stopping and jumping onto YouTube. Just right, I'm just going to watch the stats of this one now.
Well,
You've
hey, let me
sold
let
it.
me goose your. I'm gonna goose your stats right now. Uh, I am in a pair of tidy whities,
Oh boy.
folks, because before I started this podcasting thing, I took a shower, I had no breaks, I was racing the clock, and yeah, it's tidy whities for me. And you just let me know when you want me to turn my camera on
All right.
for
Okay.
the donations to come in.
Did you shave first?
Actually, I did. I shaved yesterday. It was good enough.
Wow. There we go. David, freshly shaved in his tighty whities. What could possibly be wanted more than that? Right. Well, maybe 5 questions from Braxton Hunter. Has that whet your
Mm.
appetite, listeners? So basically, Braxton Hunter every now and then does some questions. If you're a non-believer, you get the gist of the kind of question that's going to come. At least it's not 10, it's only 5. It's 9 minutes of 5 questions, which is roughly the same amount of time, if I remember right, as he did his 10 questions, which means a couple of them have a setup. We will
They're
get there.
speeches. They're sermons. Okay, they're not questions. Stop it. Just stop it. These are five
Oh,
sermons from Braxton Hunter.
now I know why you come onto his podcast. You come onto his podcast to misbehave, don't you? You just
Yeah.
want to be the host of multiple podcasts, don't you?
No,
You're just
no,
a
no, no.
rebel, aren't you?
If I'm the host, I've got to reel it in. I'm not. I'm the bad uncle that you invited Thanksgiving. It's
Yeah,
on you, buddy.
I really am. You are the meatball thrower, aren't you? Right. Yeah, yeah. What David said. So we're going to go. It may take. This video is 9 minutes. I promise you, it's going to take longer than 9 minutes for David and I to get through this. It might be 9 minutes per question. You have been warned. This is how it's going to go. I've got some notes. There will be links in the show notes to some of the other material that I'm going to reference. For the people on YouTube, I'll probably show some things on screen as part of my answer to specifically one of the questions when we get there. But that will be for the people on YouTube to work out when they get there. But if you're not on YouTube, if you're listening just on audio, the things that I'll reference are going to be linked in the show notes. You know where to go, people. Matthew, he has links. That's what he does. Right, David, are you ready to go?
Hey, look, I've got my notes as well.
Notes.
Uh-oh.
He's come on
My
here with notes.
my note. Wait a minute. My nose keeps hitting my microphone. I think it's growing. Sorry. Never. Maybe you should just get started. I'll
Let's
work
just
out this
get
nose
started.
thing.
You know, it's been half a Braxton, and we haven't even started yet. So we're going to measure this in Braxtons. Let's do it. Okay, everybody, let's go.
In 2020, I had 10 questions for atheists. And the response was pretty big. I put my reaction to the videos that atheists made in response to it into a playlist on this channel that you can check out. And I still get answers to those questions to this day.
Advertising him already.
But now, as 2025 is upon us, I've got 5 questions for atheists in 2025, given certain events and current debates in the worldview discussion arena. If you're an atheist, I want to know what your answer is to these.
It's just clickbait. He's pretty much saying it's clickbait. It did well the last time I did it. I'm going to do it again. And I don't want to spoil anything, but if someone is taking this setup as, oh yeah, well, because of current events, I've got some really insightful things to ask about now. You're just wrong. This is just the typical pablum. Don't buy it. Don't buy it.
Yeah, we've fallen for it, David. We are part of his algorithm. We only watch his question videos. We're going to put this out there. It's going to create links to Braxton's channel, and we're feeding his machine, and we're getting no kickback from it.
It's rage bait. Why am I so predictable?
So, Braxton, if you ever make it to watching this response to your questions, the answer to the questions, I need to let you know, this is not going to be an easy listen. We're not nice atheists in this place here. There's going to be swearing. There's going to be assumptions made on where you're coming from. And there's going to be really ridiculous things said. Isn't it right, David?
In other words, you're going to want to make a response video on this response video.
Absolutely. And I need to make this clear. Braxton, we're going to not just answer and challenge your questions. We're going to challenge the arena which those questions come from, which means you are going to be asked some questions as well. So if you're going to respond to this, if you're going to even think about coming on to Still Unbelievable, I dare you, go on, I dare you, answer the questions as well, please. Right, but the first point I want to make is he said an atheist. I have a big thing about that. I am not an atheist. Atheism does not define me. There is no atheist attached set of beliefs that I adhere to because I'm atheist. My worldview, my personality, about me, the things about me, the things I believe are not informed by my atheism. My atheism is a feature of me, a function of me that exists because of the things that I am, the knowledge that I have, the worldview that I have. Atheism is a feature, not a function. It's different to Christianity. It's not an atheist. Please.
Okay, well, look, now I feel awkward because people have been telling me that, I have a religion and atheism is this, and they've been telling me my position, my worldview. I've decided to embrace it, and so I was going to use this show as my coming out. I am officially the high priest of the religion of atheism. I am the fucking high priest, buddy. And if you want to talk about atheism, it comes through me. It comes through me. And so if you don't want to have the high priest of atheists own your show or own your butt for the stuff that you say, watch it, okay? You gave me this religion. You gave me this title. And I'm going to take it and use it for all it's worth, damn it. High priest of atheism.
Where's my miracle?
Sorry about that.
Where's my miracle? If you can't do a miracle, you cannot be my high priest.
Did I promise a miracle? This is a high priest of atheism, buddy.
Look, there's even a song about promising you a miracle. Oh, sorry, that's not from you.
No,
okay, never mind.
no. That's a different branch of atheism. Okay, that's
right. Okay. That belongs in the 80s when people had hair and shirts.
That's like the Eastern Orthodox atheism. Okay, we don't deal with those.
Right.
We don't talk about the schism.
Okay, right. We're on the slide into question 1. Let's go.
questions. So let's just jump right in. Question 1. Cameron Bertuzzi over at Capturing Christianity recently caused a lot of controversy by saying he no longer takes atheism seriously.
The reason why I don't take atheism seriously any longer is because even if we accept the atheist's strongest argument, it still wouldn't prove atheism.
We have these real
Wow. The strongest argument doesn't prove atheism. I wonder if there's anything else that we shouldn't take seriously because its strongest argument doesn't prove it. Can you think of anything, David? I'm thinking.
As the high priest of atheism, I don't even know what the strongest argument of atheism is. So I'm waiting for Cameron to tell me what it is my strongest argument is before I can comment on
Yeah,
it.
you're not going to get that from the unintellectual side of Christianity.
Yeah, that's it's such a silly when I heard this the first time, I was still in the philosophical charity mode, and I'm thinking he must have misspoken. That's not how any of this works. And as I listened to more of it, I realized, oh no, he's just an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but I did try to listen to this charitably the first time through. I failed. I was still charitably listening up to this point. I'll let you know when I completely got off off that train. That's a bad train to be on.
Yeah. And to be frank, I would rather watch a Braxton video than the Bertuzzi video. Let's just put it that way. Ever since Cameron announced his conversion to the cult of the Catholic, he has just gone further and further down the mudslide of delirium. And his social media posts are getting more and more insane as life goes on. The guy has either suffered a complete and utter mental breakdown and literally gone delirium, or he really, really thinks he's being witty, intelligent, and insightful. And I just can't work out which one it is.
Yeah, I don't believe any of that. I think that these Christian YouTubers they're not trying to convert. They're not trying to reason. They're it's just I think that they are in their way as angry at us as we are at them, and so we're kind of shouting at each other in this internal conflict across the void. And those outside of that who don't understand what the fuss is all about, they're just either confused or just bored. And so I admit to doing my fair share of it, like I'm doing now and will be doing more of because they know me so well. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think people like Braxton Hunter and Cameron Bertuzzi and people of that ilk, they gave up on honest honest dialogue and honest questioning a long time ago. That's not what these shows are about.
Certainly that's true for some, and I believe it absolutely is true of Cameron. I hesitate over Braxton, but yeah, shouty Frank McTurek and his radio show is definitely one of those.
Please, I'm sorry, stop. Don't say Turek again. Just don't. If you want to trigger a 3-hour tirade,
Yeah.
just say his name again. All right.
Okay,
Don't
I'll do my best.
do it.
I'll do my best. But there are others. Sean Face McDowell, he's like that. That person that you featured over the weekend with the lovely fake British person with the American accent. That was a great episode, and he's just the same William Lane Craig. Yeah, he's just the same. So, but I'm actually undecided on Braxton. That's a compliment, Braxton, if you're watching.
It really is. I'm not undecided, by the way. So well, I'll just reflect. Braxton, let me tell you something, buddy. You don't even have the mean one on the show today. Okay, this is as good as it gets for you, my friend. It could have been so much worse.
Yeah, right. Okay, we haven't even got to question 1. How far are we in? Let's do it. Come on, David. No
Yeah,
delays.
it's a part of the sermon. It's a sermon inside of a sermon. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. So we've shat all over the lead in. So let's go and piss on the question. Right. Here we go.
Really powerful arguments, at least from our perspective, on the theist side, like arguments from fine tuning. But yes, there are arguments on the other side that are meant to show that it's unlikely God exists or that God does not exist, like arguments from evil or divine hiddenness arguments. And so this puts us in an interesting spot. We've got arguments for and against. But as Philip Goff suggested recently, perhaps you have a God of limited power.
So let's just stop there. Quick plug for Philip Goff. He's British. He has a British accent. He is very thoughtful. He's fun. He's amusing. He loves a challenge. He loves a little bit of a spiky conversation because he's that sort of guy. And he's great at it and charming at it. I genuinely like the guy. I've had him on Still Unbelievable twice, I think, maybe 3 times. I'll probably have him on again. I just haven't worked out how I'm going to do it yet. He's written a recent book touching on religions, Christianity specifically. I need to read that and have him on and have that conversation. And he's announced quite publicly recently that he adheres to a God that is not quite accepted by most Christians, as Braxton has just hinted. Do you have thoughts, David?
Right. I do. There are two academics that I interviewed on the Christian side a few years back. One of them is named Mark Karras, and the other is Thomas Ord, and they are both very, very similar, very close to each other theologically, and they believe in a limited God. And I've talked to them both. They're delightful. There are problems even with a limited God, but I feel like when Braxton brings this up, he's being disingenuous. And you can correct me because you have spent more time with Braxton stuff than I have. Does he even believe in a limited God? I mean, he's trying to offer a way out so that he can have a philosophical win and say, one possibility is that God is limited. That strikes me as totally disingenuous if he doesn't believe in such a God. And
I
that's
don't think
definite.
he does. I think him saying that is he's tossing us a bone, is what he's doing with that statement. But I don't think that Braxton accepts a limited God.
Then it's inappropriate. It's inappropriate to say then, because if he's talking about the God that atheists are debating, and the God that in various arguments they think is very unlikely, or maybe not possible to exist, we're not talking about a limited God. That is not what we're debating. It's not what we're talking about, and so it's disingenuous. It's kind of a straw man, and it has no place here. And it just strikes me as a very dishonest kind of thing to say on the part one, that he doesn't even believe that's a possibility, and 2, he knows that that's not the God we're inveighing against.
Braxton, first question for you. What sort of God do you believe in? Are you proposing a God of limited power, or are you proposing a God of infinite power, but who simply won't do certain things, which, by the way, is indiscernible from a God of limited power? Just saying. So he believes in a God of limited power. He just doesn't realize it yet.
Yeah, and by the way, I wouldn't even debate a God of limited power. I mean, for my part, it's the debate's over. Okay, your God can't do everything, and so this earth is perfectly explained with a God that's as limited, say, as me. Because the thing is, with limited power, Christians seldom say, "Well, how limited is his power?" he needs the cooperation of humans. So obviously there are some things that he can't do. Okay, then we don't need to debate it. There's no, there's no
But
there.
there's something magic there, though, because he can only get help from Christians who believe in him. He can only give messages to Christians who miraculously believe in him and approve of the message that he's about to give him in advance.
You should really have Thomas Ord on your show. I would love that show. He's a beautiful man. I think I still might have his book. You and Andrew, yeah, I want to see that show. So
All right.
we'll see what we can do. It's been a few years, but I think I still have his contact.
Okay. All right, let's go. We haven't even got to the question yet. Come on, Braxton, lead us
Well,
right in.
no. The problem is he hasn't gotten to the question. He could have asked the question in the first 20 seconds. He doesn't have a question. He has a sermon. So let's finish the sermon.
Oh dear, here we go.
Mean you have really powerful arguments from God on the theist side, like the fine-tuning arguments, but then the arguments from evil and divine hiddenness no longer become powerful arguments for atheism. Instead, what they are arguments for a limited God, but not arguments for no God. And so there's no reason to take atheism seriously, someone might decide. So the question is Cameron wrong? And if so, why is he wrong?
Yes, because he's a fucking idiot.
Yep. So, and also just like what I just said, I wouldn't even bother debating eliminate God. I would just say that if we get into it and we're talking about God and you can't prove you're all powerful omni God and you're reduced to saying, well, okay, my God's limited, then I'm done. Yeah. All right. I am completely done, because if he's not all powerful, he didn't do everything that we see here. If he's not all knowing, he can make mistakes and things like that. What are we talking about? We can take an early break.
Yep. And sorry, my mind is obviously weird in the English heat tonight, but what is it with people who put their microphone so prominent in the picture? There's a reason why mine is off to the side, just slightly. You can only get a hint of the edge of it. So you can see my beautiful face and my almost clean-shaven chin. Okay, yeah, I know my headphones are just freaking enormous, but if you had lug holes like mine, you'd want big earphones. But what is it with the microphone that's right in front? In fact, you know what? If I had a microphone and a stand like that and I was insistent on putting it in front of my face like that, I'd make sure I got a pink one that was shaped like a penis, because that would be awesome.
Okay, first of all microphones are somewhat shaped like penises. Second, you're talking to a former audio engineer. And I can tell you right now, people who don't have their microphones in their shot do not deserve to have microphones.
Oh, don't make me cry.
You do not deserve it. Third, this is an SM7B that he is using, and this microphone is best used close up within about 2 to 3 inches. Fourth, he does have a microphone in the shop, but we can see all of his face. You are wearing Princess Leia earphones. On the other hand, so...
That's because Princess Leia is awesome. And I don't even like Star Wars.
In other words, don't get me started.
Oh, I knew I shouldn't have said that, but I just couldn't help myself. I'm sorry, I'm British and I've had cider.
But I'm with you with pink microphones. I've actually had a pink microphone. I gave it away. I'm using a very stylish microphone, but no one can see it on camera. But if my camera was on, and if they weren't distracted by the fact that I'm only wearing tidy whities, they would see my microphone. Never mind. Just don't worry about it.
Look, okay. I don't know if this isn't an advert, but it's a begvert. If you out there are a microphone provider, because we do not monetize Still Unbelievable. I get zero money. I pay for the privilege of giving you guys Still Unbelievable. If you out there are an audio producer, have contacts to an audio producer, and you can get me a really high quality microphone that's pink and shaped like a penis, get in touch, because I promise you I will have it the way Braxton's got it in that picture on my stand. I might need a new stand as well, but we can work that one out. But, you know, if you can do it, I will do it back.
What would you like your stand to be shaped like?
We'll
I
have
mean,
that
never
conversation.
mind.
Get in touch, you tech person. You, get in touch, we'll work something out. All right? Okay.
Furthermore,
this
I
is
don't know
how I
why.
get free stuff. All right? Okay?
I don't know why you don't think I don't already have 3 pink microphones shaped like penises. I mean, you. So I don't know.
Oh, listeners, I'm so sorry. You can pick up your drink now. We're moving on. We're on to question 2. That was 25 minutes, David. We got to do better. Okay.
Yes, we will. We will. The next one will be 30 minutes. Let's do it.
Okay. Question 2.
Question 2. Some atheist creators seem to think that the recent presidential election was so important that it changes the way they should do things on their channels.
Politics
Watch.
incoming.
I am going to be changing things up on YouTube quite a bit, to the extent that I'm not going to be doing this channel anymore.
Right. I think this is profitable.
So I don't think the timing is lost on anybody here, that this is happening shortly after the last political election.
All right.
I'm not going to lie, very, very distraught and a little freaked out by the results, not just who won, but the extent by which they won. And that does get us all thinking about our future and our safety and what things are going to look like going forward. Basically, what that did is that just jolted me. For a while, I just kind of been on the treadmill doing what I was doing. I wanted to get off at some point and doing something different. And so this election and the little jolt that it gave me just kind of pushed me off the algorithm treadmill and gave me the prompt to just do something a little different.
Do you have thoughts on that, David?
Actually, let's go through these testimonies,
through.
and I'll
Okay.
share them.
Right, I can't remember what this girl's name is. I did write it down. I have no idea what her face is. I have no idea what her channel is. I simply haven't watched it. I don't do YouTube very much. I'm a podcast guy. I just don't do the videos. Sorry if I'm supposed to know who she is. Moving on.
Am shifting gears a little bit here and widening the lens, so to speak. And I want to talk about it because I've changed my mind since my last video. I posted a kind of off the cuff video of my thoughts and feelings post-election. And I said that the political conversation, I didn't want it to set the tone for future videos. And I didn't want to get into politics. And I wanted to stay focused on what I was doing. But I changed my mind.
Why do you think that this election was so
Do you want me to carry on, or do you want to comment now?
No, let him go ahead and ask his sermon.
impactful to atheists in this way? What did it reveal about the culture? Question 3. Many
Okay. So I find the question interesting because he's asking it about atheists and not about everybody. But it seems to me like it was impactful for everybody, including Christians. It changed the way everybody, all of the podcasters, podcast, including Christians. So in different ways, but it smacks me as particularly disingenuous to say, why do you think this change happened among atheists? Also, he hasn't really established that there was a change. He showed clips of 2 people who decided to change a little bit of what they were doing. So one, I think what he was saying is he doesn't feel safe being an atheist podcaster in this society, which he's not. I'm not. I can tell you that right now. I'm interviewing for a job that if they ever looked at if they did the thing and looked at my stuff, I'm unhireable. I'm literally unhireable, especially in this society. 10 years I wouldn't have been. No one would have cared, but they care now. So I understand that you do have to make decisions. I tell people all the time, I love having your voice, your wit, your insight, but you have safety first. You've got to take care of yourself and your family. You can't put yourself in unnecessary danger. And to some people, what we're doing right now is unnecessary danger. Um, as far as the woman, she is going to be integrating politics into her stuff, as opposed to saying, "Well, that's this thing is separate and apart from." It makes sense to integrate podcasts in your stuff, especially if you're an atheist, because this election was so much a religious fundamentalist referendum. So you do have to talk about it if you're keeping up. But as near as I can tell, and I do watch a lot of YouTube, it hasn't changed anything. The big YouTubers who talk about this stuff all the time, it hasn't changed. They were talking about current events anyway. They were talking about religious Christian nationalism anyway. They were doing deconstruction anyway. So there was nothing really to change, and so I really find it disingenuous and deceptive. And this is where I stopped on him. He's clearly has no interest in honest discourse at all. I would like to ask him what change in quote unquote online atheism he sees here, because this is just what we do. This is what we do. We've been doing it. How long have we been doing it, Matt? Doesn't matter. This is what we've been doing since day one.
Yeah, it's about 6 years, maybe 7 years now, since the first time we mic'd together. You know, when was the book? The book was what, 8 years ago now, wasn't it?
Yeah, so well, it was then. I mean, we started podcasting right away, so whenever that was. And please don't ever say the term the first time we mic'd together again. Please don't do that. So so yeah, I am just kind of hard pressed to know exactly what he means, except, the smarmy look on his face is, you see, we Christians, we got you running now. We got you. You see, we won, and now you're having to react to us. For the longest time, Christians have had to react to us, right? They have not had an online win in a long time. They've been on the defensive since online began. And now, for the first time, they feel like we're finally not on defensive anymore. And this is just his poke a finger in the eye. That's all this question is.
Yeah, it really is the minority. But let's give Braxton a little bit of grace in terms of the context. He's recording this in December 2024, barely a month, not even 2 months after that shitty election that you guys had. Enough time for a couple of people to say, you know what, I'm giving in. But between then and now, it's been 6 months. More people have just ramped up their content and their coverage. And in the 6 months' time between now and when this actually goes live, it will be almost a year since Braxton has created these questions. And atheists will be continuing to do their stuff. I know I certainly will. I know you certainly will. How many will have dropped off? I don't think many.
Zero. I suspect that because what I've seen, once again, I'm in YouTube all the time because I'm doing shorts and shows and things like that. There, the atheist YouTubers seem to be exploding in number. It's actually harder to find Christian YouTubers. And that seems to be going in that direction. I know that this is just anecdote from one person who hasn't done scientific research on this, but this is what it feels like. And so if you're saying, well, this was right after the election, then it's even a worse question.
Yeah.
Because he had to cherry pick, find two people who indicated some kind of change to make a point that could not possibly be made at that time. And this really is just a Christian gloat saying, I'm finally not on the offensive and the rats are scurrying. And it was disingenuous a year ago, and it has not held up well over that year.
So Braxton, the question's for you. Why did you cherry pick those two and ignore all the others that aren't changing or are ramping up their critique of Christianity and Christianity's support of the repugnance. And how hard did you have to look in order to find those? And how many of the ones that aren't giving in did you have to skip over to find those? And what about all the Christians that are really impacted by that? Because in the deconstruction community, which I'm a part of, because it's a conversation that I have, there are lots of people arriving in that space going, fuck Trump. Lots and lots and lots of them. It is a sheer exodus of people out of Christianity, and people are talking about that. So did you vote for Trump, Braxton, and why?
Yeah, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of when there is a prominent, and this doesn't happen very often, a prominent atheist converts to Christianity thing, and the Christians are like, yeah, yeah, you see, we're winning. Never mind the 15 prominent Christian deconversion stories that happened during the time you were gloating. Never mind that. And that's just what this feels like. It's that sort of thing. I've been watching that for years, and it is never honest. It's just never honest. It's their way of trying to reverse the narrative or to slow the narrative down and to say, you see, we're winning. They're not winning.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. You're not winning, Braxton.
Not of the sort that many people think of when they hear the term free will. They believe that the past history of the universe is like to a billion trains of dominoes or trillions of chains of dominoes that result in the past history of the cosmos, the formation of your physical body, your past life experiences, your neural structure, and the firings of neurons in your brain that are your choices, but could not have been otherwise. On the other hand,
So let's just summarize there. We don't need to go into long answers and details because he carries on. But to summarize, apparently many atheists, and again, technicality here, Braxton, we don't accept this because we're atheists. We accept this because of our scientific knowledge and the things that we have learnt through science. And it's out of that that comes atheism. Atheism does not inform this deterministic belief that you are describing. So when you say many atheists believe, there's a little bit of sleight of hand going on there, which I'd rather you didn't do. But that aside, what he's basically saying is the universe from which that we experience now, from the moment that began, way back when, things happened a certain way, and physics being the way it is and not being able to be different makes things happen in a certain way, and those things can't be any different because physics, when you get a mass moving at a certain speed in a certain formation and gravity behaving on it the way it does, there is effectively only one result that can happen. No matter how complex it might look to you, there is really only one result. And as you scale that and you get life forms evolve, starting at tiny little cellular beings, creatures, whatever you want to call them, those are still only behaving under the laws of physics. And as things get more and more complex, that complexity hides the determinism in physics very well. And then we end up with the ugly people you've got on your screen right now. Questions?
Yeah. So so you're very kind, and you are treating the sermon question with respect. The fact is, this is just one of these teleological arguments, one of these argument from design, first cause kind of arguments. And so just do that. Just say that. And you could save all of this setup. There's absolutely nothing new or unique about this setup. At the end of the day, it's the same argument from design that it always is. And so if that's the question you want to ask, just ask that. Because you're not making yourself sound smarter.
You can't help it. It's part of his function of belief.
This is why I said at the beginning, this is there's nothing unique about these questions. This is not a different 5 questions for 2025. This is the same set of questions that Christians have been asking since there's been an internet for them to ask stupid questions on. And so there's nothing. All of this setup doesn't make the question different, and it's not going to make the answer different. And so if you got your ass handed to you last year, you're going to get it handed to you this year, and the setup doesn't matter.
Right. Let's enjoy it.
Maybe some atheists think that we have what's called libertarian freedom, the notion that whatever you ended up choosing, you really could have done otherwise. So here's my question. If you're a determinist, how do we hold people morally culpable for things they do that could not have been otherwise, given the history of the universe?
Because, Braxton, in your sermon, you missed out the bit that knowledge, the things that we know, change the things that we do. That's why we have education. That's why people take their dogs to pet training class. You change the behavior through input. You discourage certain actions and you encourage other actions, and hey presto, you get something that does action B over action A. Training, education, knowledge. That's how it happens.
So I mentioned this on another show that
You've gone quiet on me.
there might be. I've gone quiet.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm talking.
Okay, carry on.
I'm talking here. Okay. Okay, I want to try it again. If you can't hear me, blink.
Okay.
I'm talking to the audience. Okay, so there are 4 possibilities here for social creatures. If there are more, someone can let me know. But we are social creatures, whether we're determined or otherwise. I am a hard determinist. I would rather not be a determinist, so I'm a reluctant determinist. I just don't see any way out of it. But determined or otherwise, there are still only 4 options that you have when someone is behaving in an antisocial way that threatens to destroy your society. You can fine them, you can confine them, you can exile them, or you can kill them. Now, we can pretty that up in lots of different ways, all right? But this same thing happens in the animal kingdom, except for the fining because they don't have any money. And I don't think that there are any animal societies that say, all right, you've got 3 bananas. This is going to cost you 1 banana. I don't think that happens. So they're kind of stuck with, we will confine you, we will exile you from the troop, or we will fucking kill you. Right? But this is just nature. These are all the, if you prefer, determinist choices that we've got in order to save our society. And so it does not matter to us that a person behaving badly is determined to do so, or that they have some kind of brain function that causes them to be criminally insane, that they are clinically sociopathic. That actually doesn't matter. Okay, the only thing that does for us as enlightened people is it would maybe cause us to choose confinement over killing you. Okay, that we might do that. And as our medical treatment advances and we get the 5th option of we can fix you, that would be the ideal one. When we get that option, I think that's what we would do every time. We can throw away the confinement. I think we'd still fine because we really like money. But we would fine and fix is what we would do. And because we would recognize, I think we do recognize that when people who are criminally insane behave criminally, it's not necessarily their fault. However, we are limited in society, and our mercy and compassion cannot allow us to have someone just running around freely raping our kids. All right, we can't. We gotta stop that. And and all the choices we have right now are find, confine, exile, and kill. And so we're gonna pick the one that best befits our humanity and the circumstances that we have. And one day, maybe fix will be in that list. But other than that, we hold people accountable, even though they may be determined to do certain actions because it's what we have to do to save our little determined societies. Does that get through your little determined skull?
I don't know. Braxton?
I was, yeah, yeah. I mean, he doesn't. He's looking like he's pondering it, but he's really just waiting for his turn to talk.
Yeah. Braxton, if you respond to this, there's your question. Did you get it? Do you understand now why determinism is right, and it's right without a God? You know, we know that prison doesn't actually work, because if prison worked, so would spanking. Anyway, there we go. That's a whole different show, David. We're not going to go down that road. Let's carry on.
So
And
you're
if
saying
it
that
is the case that
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Well, I was gonna say that you're saying that when I was spanked the other day, that was somehow analogous to prison. Well, there were the handcuffs.
Yeah. The, yeah.
Why
What
did you
happens
even
between
stop? Why did you
consenting
stop the tape?
adults needs to stay
Okay.
between consenting adults.
Why did you even stop, man? You should you knew better.
You're right. I did know better. I'm sorry, listeners. It's David. It's what he does. I do the same to him. Right. Let's go.
Andrew's
you
worse.
believe
Sorry, you're doing it again.
I'm sorry. I was just saying Andrew's worse. Okay, he's worse. I was talking under the show. It wasn't intended to be stopped.
When I have two voices in my head, because big Star Wars headphones, I
Yeah.
need to stop one of them.
Always choose to keep the videotape going. You're making the wrong choice consistently.
All right then. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm still new at this.
in free will of the libertarian sort as an atheist? How is that possible without God? Now, just
We don't believe in libertarian free. We don't believe in free will of any sort. Don't accept free will of any sort. We are determined, and free will does not exist with God, Braxton.
Right, I don't actually.
He is
who
definitely
did-
a free willist.
Who are the libertarian free will atheists? I've never heard that. I think he might be getting.
There are some, I can't tell you any names right now, but there certainly are some which promote an idea of free will. I don't know if
Well,
it's libertarian free will as Braxton means it here.
I think he's confusing it with compatibilism.
Very possibly.
The Dan Dennett approach. But sir, compatibilism is not libertarian free will. Not at all. It makes allowances that recognize that you feel like you have free will. And it tries to walk a line so that determinism and the illusion of free will and the ability to make choices is compatible. I am not a compatibilist. I'm a hard determinist, but that's as close as you get. And the word you're looking for, Braxton, is compatibilism. And if you were saying that there's some atheist who would know who believes in libertarian free will, it's up to you to produce that, because I think you're.
He did say if you're an atheist who believes in free will, so it could well be he has nobody in mind. He's just
Right. Well,
saying it for-
it's a hypothetical that means nothing. It's like saying if you're a Christian who doesn't believe in God, it's just absurd. You're just wrong. You don't understand the landscape you're talking about. You should not be talking about this issue of free will at all, because you clearly don't understand it, and you don't know what your opponent believes. And the reason I think he's talking about compatibilism is he didn't use the word compatibilism because he's too stupid to know the word, and yet he's presenting himself as someone who has the right to talk about this on YouTube and somehow teach or lead Christians or try to trap some atheists. Brother, you're going to have to show me the video of the confirmed atheist promoting libertarian free will. I don't think you can do it. You're a fucking liar and an idiot.
Don't hold back, David. I think he did make reference to compatibilism a little bit earlier in his sermon, but yeah, he's not talking about anyway. Just to answer the question as said, bearing in mind what David's just said, no, I'm not, and I don't think free will exists with a God anyway. So there is that.
He just created an entire straw man that I refuse to honor with an honorable response.
It's not big enough for the matches I've got in my pocket. I need a bigger one. Right, let's go.
Just as a note, there are many determinists who will say they are compatibilists. And what that means is not that libertarian freedom is compatible with determinism. Compatibilists hold that determinism is true. It's just that we can hold people morally culpable in spite of the determinism. That moral culpability is possible, is compatible with determinism. So it
Okay, I'm satisfied with that. I don't think he understands compatibilism though, but I still think he's inventing the straw person of the atheist who believes in libertarian free will. Now, once again, if you're talking to a 6-year-old, you're talking to someone who's never thought about the subject, maybe, but if you have any standing to speak to this issue at all, I don't think that you're going to find that guy or woman, but I would like to see it. I don't mind being proven wrong. Someone let me know, but until I am, I still think that Brandon's a disingenuous idiot, and we should not even honor the question of how do you atheists who are determinists who believe in or atheists who believe in libertarian free will answer this question. No one should answer the question because that person doesn't exist as far as I know.
But how do we as determinists hold people morally culpable for what they're saying? It's interesting that he uses the word culpable there. They are responsible for the things that they do. That is the society we live in, and people who are responsible for bad things get treated for it. Now, I was going to say punished, but punished, as we said earlier, is not always the right option. You need to dissuade people from doing those things again because it's harmful to society as a whole. That is how you hold people morally culpable. And again, in this context, morally is just flowery language for describing things that we don't like.
Yeah. So, for instance, I have had the life situation of knowing and closely interacting with people who are severely mentally retarded. As children, that's hard enough to deal with. As adults, severely mentally retarded adults, I don't care how rosy their disposition, they are dangerous people. And the thing that makes it dangerous is when society, who is simply unaware of what they're dealing with, allows that kind of person to run free and loose like a cannonball fired out of a cannon into the suburbs. Maybe it'll miss everything. Maybe it'll destroy lots of houses and people. Don't know, don't care. We're just going to take hands off. I think one of the worst things that society does, especially in America, is that we subject all of society to people who should not, for whatever reason, I'm not blaming them, who should not be allowed to go freely in it. They simply shouldn't because they can't. They don't have the background. They don't have the mental ability. They don't have the social ability. They have a brain tumor that's too big and they can't behave socially responsibly. They're severely mentally retarded. They literally don't know the difference between right and wrong. They have the body of a bodybuilder and the mind of a 4-year-old. You can't send this person out into society as if everything is okay. But we don't give a shit about our mentally dysfunctional people, and we don't know what to do. And so we keep our thumbs up our asses until they do something. They kill a few children, rape a few wives, and then we put them on death row. Done. Um, it's just irresponsible. It's the least loving thing that you can do in a society. So this has nothing to do with holding people morally accountable for anything. It has to do with how you are going to deal with dangers in your society. A disease cannot be held morally accountable, but we're damn well going to do something about it when it threatens to wipe out our society. Okay, so I think that he's
He's using
trying.
very specific language to try to make a trap.
Yes, it's not a good trap, and it shows bad thinking. I think what really is revealed is his limited thinking as a Christian, because he can't imagine not holding someone morally accountable for a thing they do.
Yep.
And the fact of the matter is, uh, the only people that you could even pretend, I don't believe in morality. So that's a whole little different thing.
Go over to
Um,
Skeptics and Seekers, listen to David's Summer of Morality. It'll mess your head up and you'll have
yeah,
fun.
I am purposely trying to fuck as many people up as possible. But uh, but just taking that framework of morality, it's irrelevant.
Yeah. So,
I
question
don't,
for
you
you,
don't
Braxton.
hold people who can't be morally responsible, but you can still deal with them because you have to in the most loving and society protecting way possible.
So, Braxton, when your dog or your 2-year-old, but let's just say your dog, steals food off the dinner table that's meant for you, do you hold it morally culpable? And if your answer's no, great. You kind of understand where David and I are coming from now. Right.
By the way, my one of my dogs that I routinely call the devil because he is the devil. Um, we're sitting there watching our Netflix cartoons, my wife and I. Don't judge people. Don't judge. I'm a One Piece fan. Anyway, my devil dog jumped up because he's very lightweight and he can stand straight up and he can do undog like things. It's weird. And we were having hamburgers and she ate one of her hamburgers and it was good. And she never eats two hamburgers, but she was going for a second hamburger. And before she could get it, that dog reached up and took the top layer of bread right off and went off with it. And she went from being a very happy person to like, I can't eat this. I'm not gonna. And the only reason I tell you this story is because one, I do hold the devil morally accountable for his deeds, but two, I get to be the hero. And I had my second burger, and I said, "No, honey, don't. Here, have mine."
Oh, you soppy little
This has
prick.
absolutely nothing to do with the show, but I'm not a good guy most of the time, and when I am, somebody's got to know it. Damn it!
Nope. You've not been married long enough. I'd have laughed and then eaten mine and enjoyed it. Because the dog knows not to mess with my foods.
Yeah, well, there's a reason the
That's
dog
how I
took
keep
hers
my
and not
dog
mine.
morally in check. Through fear.
I yell and curse at my dogs as if they were morally accountable. They still don't love me less. So, and they steal her food.
Right. Time is counting down. We've still got 2 and a bit questions to go. Let's finish
Okay,
this one
yeah,
off.
let's do it.
Doesn't answer the question. I'm asking that question. How, if you're a determinist, how is it that people are morally culpable given that their choices could not have been otherwise? And if you believe
So, just to clarify, we've answered the question. If you don't think our answer has addressed the peculiar technicality that you've put into the question, the fault is your question.
Right. And just to double down, even if you're a Christian listening to this and you accept some moral culpability for most people, even you have a category of people where there's no moral culpability. So if your 6-year-old picks up daddy's gun and accidentally shoots somebody, or even purposely shoots somebody because they play cowboys and Indians and they don't understand the consequences of things, there's no moral culpability that you can hold them to, even by law that said, I have interviewed a Christian who believes that his 7-year-old is going to burn in hell. No lie. So there you go.
Yeah, and sorry, just to stretch this on further, if you're a Christian that says the world is the way it is because of the fall, then you do not believe in libertarian free will. Okay? Just telling you. Right, moving on.
Believe in free will. How is that possible without God?
We was about to resubscribe to
Adverts.
but why?
That was too.
Oh, don't do
All
this
right.
to me again.
Number 4, Richard Dawkins has long been praised by atheists as one of the 4 horsemen of the new atheism. But recently, he's caused some controversy with some comments about the trans debate. For many atheists, he's right about science when it comes to young earth creationism versus evolution, but he's wrong when it comes to this current cultural debate. Do you personally think he's right or wrong, and why? Now, for this...
Okay, I'm going to go slightly off-piste on this one. I'm less interested in the right and the wrong about this. I am more interested in how we treat other people. If somebody, like we've had Lauren, friend of mine for 20 years on both of our podcasts. Lauren is trans and Lauren is an awesome human being. I'm less interested in whether it is right or wrong for Lauren to have transitioned. I'm more interested in Lauren, the person as she exists right now, being treated with equal and equity in today's society and not having to worry about where she is and isn't allowed to pee.
Good answer. I am almost willing to say, let's move on. You've shut down the shop, but you didn't bring me on here to say that.
I did. I did.
So I'm sorry. I will just keep my thoughts to a minimum, though, since this was his shortest question.
And the next one's
that
a
he-
doozy.
Yeah. So first of all, you bring up Richard Dawkins because you think that he's the atheist high priest, and I think that I made it very clear that I am atheism's new high priest. So, frankly, don't give a shit. Second, I think Dawkins is a brilliant biologist. I think that brilliant biologists can be wrong even about biology because there are other brilliant biologists who would take the trans position. And notice that you didn't try to get any of them. You just tried to find the one that you thought would be divisive. So you don't actually care about trans. This is another one of these opportunities to poke a needle in the eye of the atheist. I see you, Brandon, and you're a piece of shit. Especially using trans in this way as if it were an issue and not human beings.
Using
that
people
you
that Christians are oppressing as a weapon to beat other people.
Right, people that he clearly doesn't give a shit about. Just a weapon to try to drive a wedge. There is no wedge. So that said, I think that it has been more than proven that a person can change their sexual features. Okay, we can do that. That's been done. We can change we can probably change your pH balance at this point. So the matter of whether we can transition a person, that question has been answered a long time ago. What you're dealing with, and I think what Dawkins is probably dealing with, is whether or not a person should, whether or not there is something fundamental, maybe beneath the gross biological features, that makes a person a man or a woman. And at that level, you're getting into almost a spiritual question. Can a spiritual male, a real male, whatever that is, because we're not talking about physicality anymore, can become a real female, where the real female can become a real male? That's a different question to deal with. And then you're talking about whether it should happen. What Christians tend to say isn't even that it can't happen, because many of them recognize that it can happen. You can do it. They just say it's wrong. It's evil. So what they would say is, but you would never, even if you successfully did all of the physical genetic DNA things, even if you got that done, it still would be a man inside. It still would be a woman inside. That's where I think the hidden debate really is. And I think that's one that Christians don't put in those terms, because then it just becomes a matter of woo. And they understand that
Keep
instinctively.
talking, David. I'll be right back. Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah. So usually when this happens in a podcast, people, that means the host has to go pee or something like that. Now, when I'm doing a show with Andrew and Matt, they make a point to point this out whenever I get up. And so I'm just taking my time to get them back. Or he could be receiving his package from Victoria's Secrets. That's just for him. I don't want to reveal anything out of turn, but I think his request for that microphone was really just kind of euphemistic. He wasn't asking for a pink microphone, if you know what I mean. Okay, I'm just putting that out there. Okay, he's returned. Audience, we will never tell him what we were saying about him while he was gone. Okay,
He's
that's
gonna
just
pick it up on the edit.
that's just between
Smooth,
you
eh?
and me,
Nobody
audience.
noticed.
Okay.
Nobody noticed.
Oh, I made sure they noticed.
All right. Showing ourselves up to be the true amateurs that we actually are. Right, are we ready for the next one?
We are.
Okay, let's go.
Last question, there's a little bit of setup. Here's a quote from Robin Collins about the fine-tuning of the universe, and I'd like to...
Right, I have some more content to show as part of this, because it gets a little bit technical, and there are some specifics, and there are some things in the setup that Braxton has done that frame how the question goes, and I need to draw attention to those as we go along, because it's important. You know, there's a reason why Christians don't do as much science as they should. So, first of all, this is the Robin Collins that he's talking about. Distinguished professor, yay, woohoo, in the Department of Biblical, Religious and Philosophical Studies. Notice it's philosophical studies. I'm not seeing theoretical physics in there. Now, he is a professor at Messiah University. Yep, Messiah University. I haven't got it here on my screen, but it is in the links. Messiah University, have a statement of faith. You can read it, link in the show notes.
To know what your reaction to it is. Suppose we went on a mission to Mars and found a domed structure in which everything was set up just right for life to exist. The temperature, for example, was set to around 70 degrees Fahrenheit and the humidity was at 50%. Moreover, there was an oxygen recycling system, an energy gathering system, and a whole system for the production of food. Put simply, the domed structure appeared to be a fully functioning biosphere. What conclusion would we draw from finding this structure? Would we draw the conclusion that it just happened to form by chance? Certainly not. Instead, we would unanimously conclude that it was designed by some intelligent being. Why would we draw this conclusion? Because an intelligent designer appears to be the only plausible explanation for the existence of the structure. That is the only alternative explanation we can think of, that the structure was formed by some natural process, seems extremely unlikely. Of course, it is possible that, for example, through some volcanic eruption, various metals and other compounds could have formed and then separated out in just the right way to produce the biosphere. But such a scenario strikes us as extraordinarily unlikely, thus making this alternative explanation unbelievable. The universe is analogous to such a biosphere, according.
Can we have a buzzer? Can we have a buzzer? You knew that bit was coming, didn't you? You knew that bit was coming. Remember, Christian religious philosopher has come up with this. No, a dome on a dome created by intelligent, naturally evolved beings on a naturally evolved planet is not analogous to an entire universe.
Okay, so can I make a observation that I wanted to make the first time we did this? Because, hey kids, this is not the first time we've recorded this show.
It's about the 15th time, isn't it? It's wrong.
it's a Braxton Hunter video. What are you gonna do? So the picture of the dome, when I first saw it, and when I second saw it, and when I just saw it now, I thought, actually, that could be naturally formed. I mean, it doesn't. It looks like it's going out of the way to show something that's not quite asymmetrical, and it's not really. I mean, if you're just talking about a natural dome-like structure, the universe's favorite shape is sphere. Or close to that's a natural kind of thing, and so all a dome is
stars, raindrops, snow.
Yep. It's just a cut-off version of that, and maybe because of gravity or it's smashing to the planet, it's flattened half of itself and remained a dome. You still haven't actually presented anything in that scenario that is obviously designed. So I'm just putting it out there. That thing on that planet is nothing that you would see the Federation creating in the Star Trek universe. Hell, as ugly as everything made in the Star Wars universe, it doesn't even look as designed as the stuff in the Star Wars universe. So I'm just saying, man, you still haven't proven that is a non entropy event with the image that you're showing.
So this document that Braxton is reading from, it's from this document here, link in the show notes, Fine-Tuning Design Argument by Robin Collins. Remember, Fine-Tuning Design Argument written by a religious professor at a Christian university. You know what you're going to expect. So this is where that document comes from. I've got another version of the document here, a link also in the show notes, but look at that highlighted comment 1 there. This work was made possible in part by a Discovery Institute grant for the fiscal year 1997 to 1998. So it's a few years old, but the Discovery Institute paid for it. What do we think it was going to say?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, let me share this tab. There we go. I was laughing and not showing you the text. There's the text. This work was made possible in part by the Discovery Institute grant for the fiscal year. Oh, dear me. Anyway, this. Oh, dear, I'm not sharing anymore. Oh, why did you tell me that
sharing is caring. You just hit the button.
I
so you
closed
were
the
sharing
tab without changing what I was sharing. Oh man,
Yeah.
such an amateur. Anyway, this is the document. This is the document here. Link in the show notes. Design Argument by Robin Collins. Full PDF will be coming back to this paragraph here that's on screen a little bit later. Right, shall we carry on?
Yeah, and just
to recent
remember,
finding.
Just remember that all of this setup is just your basic run-of-the-mill argument from design. There's nothing special here.
And
There's
this is the stuff that
zero
never
special
got to the
here.
question yet.
Right.
things in physics. Almost everything about the basic structure of the universe, for example, the fundamental laws and parameters of physics and the initial distribution of matter and energy, is balanced on a razor's edge for life to occur. As the eminent Princeton physicist Freeman Dyson notes, quote, "There are many lucky accidents in physics. Without such accidents, water could not exist as liquid, chains of carbon atoms could not form complex organic molecules, and hydrogen atoms could not form breakable bridges between molecules. In short, life as we know it would be impossible." Now, he goes on.
Now, again, here we get to pettiness, but pettiness gives a hint to truthfulness. We're back to this document here by Collins that we're talking about. And this is the paragraph here that Braxton has just read out. And he said, eminent physicist Freeman Dyson notes, and then Braxton said, quote, and then you read the rest of this paragraph here. The quote ends over here. Braxton didn't say end quote. He read out this bit here, giving the impression that Freeman Dyson said that. Freeman Dyson did not say that, did not write that anywhere. That is from Collins, who inserted it in, and Braxton read it out, giving the impression that it was from Dyson. Technicality,
Well,
I know, but people who are just listening to this video will not know the difference. Christians will have listened to that video and gone, oh, eminent physicist Freeman Dyson says that life would be impossible if he did not say that.
yeah, it's the oldest Christian trick. They've been doing it since doctoring Josephus, to put Jesus, if he was a man, kind of stuff in there. This is not new. History is full of this kind of thing. And this is just the modern day version of that. We will just take this thing of someone that you respect and add a little bit to it, change a little bit here, make the notation look like they were saying something when they actually weren't. It's such a tired trope of a thing that it's just one of the things that's kind of made me give up and throw up my hands when a Christian academic starts speaking on something that is important to their faith. I simply assume they're lying. I didn't used to be that way. I felt like, you can trust a Christian academic just like any other academic because they're still academics and they still care about the truth. They do not care about the truth. There may be some who do, but there are enough who don't, so that you are much more likely to be on the side of right by just disregarding whatever they say at that point. So I'm sorry. This is where I've gotten to with most Christian academics. Not all. There's some whose opinion that I would seek out to this day. But I'm just saying, on the big stage like this, and they're trying to show documentary evidence, and especially when it involves some scientist or some authority that they know that skeptics would believe, you can almost never trust the quotation. It's almost always wrong in some way or another.
And we're going to get to quotations a little bit more shortly. So, but question time for Braxton. Braxton, did you do that intentionally? Given the platform that you have, would you agree that technical accuracy is important, that being specific and researched about things is important? I'm going to assume you agree with that. So, what other research did you do about Freeman Dyson? And did you bring any of that to the table? Did you do a broader analysis of this? And why are you quoting a Christian quoting Freeman Dyson? Why not go to Freeman Dyson and the things he says directly and come up to a more holistic opinion on what Freeman Dyson always said? Why are you being lazy and just quoting things that the Discovery Institute paid for? Do you
And by the way,
agree
this
with
is not
things that Discovery Institute says, by the way?
This is not the Discovery Channel where you have the smart sciencey stuff. Okay, this is the Discovery
15 minutes, David.
Hey,
You've
we
got
can
to
do
wrap
it. We can
up.
do it. Let's speed run it. We can do it. We can do it.
Right. So this is the next bit that I want to get on with. Actually, first of all, so this paper here is from 1997. We know the Freeman Dyson quote, therefore, is older than that. Okay, we're in 2025 now. So let's go just a bit. Here's the paper with the Freeman Dyson quote. It's from 1975. Okay, here is the longer quote here with some bits of Braxton's quote cut out. But 2 pages, but the next paragraph, it says here very clearly, I do not claim that the architecture of the universe proves the existence of God. I claim only that the architecture of the universe is consistent with the hypothesis that mind plays an essential role in its functioning. He's not even granting you God. He's granting you the idea that a mind that is capable of doing the things that Christian claims God can do is compatible with that. And yes, it is. The world as we have it now is compatible with the idea that a God that can do anything can create it. Because, hey, presto, that God can do anything. Okay, great. That gets you nowhere. That does not get you anywhere. Really.
It's also compatible with no God or no mind. So it's
compatible with magical pink invisible unicorns with rainbow horns that poop clouds. Create anything that can do anything by magic, and this universe is compatible with it. Can't you get that? Jesus Christ. Right, sorry, where were we? Right, let's carry on.
To say the following. A few examples from the literature of this fine-tuning are listed below. One.
So just for clarity, this is further on in that document from Collins. It's about a page or 2 down from the bit that we've just done. So we're still in the opening pages of this book, but Braxton's going to read all of this for a reason.
And if the initial explosion of the Big Bang had differed in strength by as little as 1 part in 10 to the 60th, the universe would have either quickly collapsed back on itself or expanded too quickly for stars to form. In either case, life would be impossible. As John Jefferson Davis points out, an accuracy of 1 part in 10 to the 60th can be compared to firing a bullet at a 1-inch target on the other side of the observable universe 20 billion light years away and hitting the target.
Great.
2, calculations indicate that if the strong nuclear force, the force that binds protons and neutrons together in an atom, had been stronger or weaker by as little as 5%, life would be impossible. 3, calculations by Brandon Carter show that if gravity had been stronger or weaker by 1 part in 10 to the 40th, then life-sustaining stars like the sun could not exist. This would most likely make life impossible. 4,
right, I'm going to stop there because that's from a book by Davis in 1984. So, Brandon Carter. I did some searches on Brandon Carter and it took me a while to find him, but when I found the right guy, what I found was link after link after link of Christian websites that quote exactly that bit of number 3 word for word every single time. It's almost like they're just carbon copying the same bullshit everywhere they go. Do they actually research this stuff and look for a different way to present it? No, they just carbon copy the same bullshit out and throw it out time after time after time. Brandon, please, next time you're going to do this kind of thing with a quote, do some investigation, do some research, and actually find out what these people are saying and find something different. Don't just copy and paste, Control C, Control V, the same thing that everybody else does. Oh, it's done it again.
4. If the neutron were not about 1.001 times the mass of the proton, all protons would have decayed into neutrons, or all neutrons would have decayed into protons, and thus life would not be possible. 5. If the electromagnetic force were slightly stronger or weaker, life would be impossible for a variety of different reasons. Now, these are some of the kinds of facts that are often used to make fine-tuning arguments.
And some of those facts are misled, as we've just shown, Brandon. Some of them are twisted, some of them are slightly warped. So yeah, we know that we use these things to make arguments, and we know that you use these things for reasons to hold and maintain your faith. But what if What if, Brandon, you were to find out that those reasons are the proverbial house on the sand? They don't quite say what you're proposing that they say. What then? David, do you have any thoughts?
Oh, I've got lots. I'm just trying to be a good citizen with our
You're just letting the
with
Englishman
our
rant.
well, I'm looking at the 10 minutes thing, and
Okay,
I don't
well,
want.
we've literally got 10 seconds left of this video, so let's roll the video out and then we can shit on it as much as we like for the time that we've got left.
The best arguments for God's existence according to almost everyone involved.
And they're
So
still
here's
not
the
good.
question. Are we wrong to think that this supports theism?
Yes!
If so, why?
Is he wrong and why, David?
So can I have the whole 10 minutes,
Yeah.
or
Well, let me just get my bit out. Because arguments are not evidence, Braxton, okay? We know that you have arguments. We know that you believe in arguments. If you want to be right about theism, find some fucking evidence. You know, let's see your methodology for actually genuinely detecting God. All you've got now are arguments that reveal something that we don't yet know about science, or don't quite know properly about science, and you're using that lack of knowledge to go, oh look, see, God did it. That is the most stupid kind of validation possible. Don't do it. Find something better. David, the slide out is yours.
okay? So I've argued this so many times in so many different ways, and I try to come up with different ways to argue it, just to keep it interesting. And even I've run out of ways to do this. But let's just take the first piece. So we have a universe that has cracked out a certain way, and we're here, and so we feel pretty good about that. But I suspect we are the only creatures in the universe that think that it's all about us, that we're the reason for it all, that the universe banged the big for us. Whatever other creatures are out there, I just wonder if they have an ego that size. I don't think there are any other animals on this planet that do. And so we might be unique in the universe in thinking that the universe is all about us, and that somehow, when humanity dies out, that the universe is just going to pack up and go home because we're done, and so it's done. It's done its job. But if you really care about science and the opinion that scientists have, we're gonna die out long before the universe does, man. The universe will not have even noticed that we were here. So it's really funny to believe that, for the last 14 billion years, it's just been preparing for us. Further on that line of egoism, you can't just say that the universe was designed to spit out humans. That's not specific enough. The universe had very specific humans in mind. So if you take the Jesus story, just as an example, God knew the Jesus story was going to happen from the beginning of time. He was going to need a Mary. Furthermore, he knew that there was going to be a Judas betrayal. So there had to be a Judas. So what I want you to think of is that when the big first began to bang, it had to bang the atoms exactly so that Judas and his whole line would happen. And they had to happen exactly the way they happened. Otherwise, Judas may have turned out differently. So you're saying that the universe was created so specifically that all of humanity, this, by the way, is an argument for determinism, had to be exactly the way they were, and societies had to be exactly the way they were, so that Judas could be exactly the way he was, so that he could betray Jesus. Except time didn't end there, did it? And so we can't actually say the universe was made for that. We're here. The universe had to be formed exactly so that I would be born, so that I could live this moment right now. Do you know how unlikely it is for that to happen. Do you know how many things just between Jesus and me have to be exactly a certain way for me to be born? It's the mind boggles. And so the universe was created for me, except I'm going to die in 10 or 15 years, and the universe is going to keep going. So it can't be because of that. And so there's going to be, whatever happens next, that has to be the thing the universe was created. It's insane that you would somehow just pick an era. Oh, it's the era that I happen to be in. This is the moment that the universe was created for. Another bit of egoism is that we look at humanity. We could say, well, it's for humanity in general and not worry about all the specifics, but you do have to worry about all the specifics. But we could just say that. Let's go with that. Humanity it took about 200,000 years to evolve the modern creature of human. We've been around for about 200,000 years, thereabouts, 220,000 years, somewhat, for the modern human. Except the human is still evolving. We're still evolving. So we are not, in fact, the same human that Adam and Eve would have been. We're different enough. I don't even know if we'd be sexually compatible. At some point, we won't be. We're still going, man. So if you're going to say that humanity the universe was about this version of humanity, then you have to believe that either we have stopped evolving and that evolution ends, or that evolution is going to continue and we're just going to be a blip in history. And the next generation of human can say, the universe was just for us. And just pretend like everything that went before didn't matter, kind of the way we do with the dying out of all of the living species on this planet. How many have gone extinct? Countless millions. But our egotism says, yeah, none of that matters. That they had to die so that I could be here. And God's plan is fulfilled in me. So compare all of the pseudoscience religious gobbledygook about the universe banged a certain way we're here. Compare that to the giant leaps of egoism that you have to get to make it make sense that somehow the universe was designed, and not just designed, you can't stop there. It was designed for our particular drama that we live out today.
By God, they
What?
intended it to be that way.
I mean, just wow. Just wow.
Sounds like you're calling out arrogance, David.
Which, by the way, Christians, if it comes down to me to call out arrogance, you are fucked. Okay? I am the last person who should be on this high horse, and yet my horse is taller than yours, man. You be ashamed. Because of the things that I didn't say in the egoism that get you here, Braxton, the stuff that made you here, that made Jesus here, every bad, shitty, evil thing that happened to a human, God had to make a universe that would happen for. If you take one of those things out, you're not here, or Jesus isn't here, or Peter is an atheist, or the story doesn't work. Without all of the slavery, without all of the rape and plundering and pillaging, without all of the suffering, it just doesn't work. Are you really prepared to say that the universe was designed to create all of this suffering for the drama of a handful of generations of one species, who is in all likelihood going to be the architects of their own demise? Is that what you really believe? Which one of our stories,
seconds.
Listener, which one of our stories it sounds more ridiculous? Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry.
You're done.
I apologize.
You're done. You absolutely used it all up. Right. Thank you, David. I've been Matthew. Until next time, be reasonable, guys.
I was